Today, we're going to talk about a huge collision of ideas. We've got the rise of artificial intelligence crashing into an economic theory that's been around for 80 years. And believe me, the fallout from this is reshaping our economy and maybe even what it means to be an expert. Okay, so let's just jump right in. And it all starts with this kind of mind-blowing question. How on earth could an economist from the 1940s, a guy named Friedrich Hayek, have predicted one of the biggest challenges we're facing with AI right now? Well, the answer is wrapped up in something he called the knowledge problem. You see, Hayek had this brilliant idea. He argued that the most important economic knowledge isn't locked away in some government building or corporate headquarters. Nope, it's out there, with people like your local shopkeeper. You know, the one who knows exactly which customer is going to buy that weird flavor of ice cream, or which delivery driver has a little extra room in their truck. That's the good stuff. And he said it so perfectly back in 1945. The data you need to actually run an economy, it's just not possible for one person or even one supercomputer to hold it all. It's scattered in tiny pieces across millions of people, and every single one of them has their own unique local perspective. And that, right there, is the knowledge problem. All this crucial information is spread out, it's fragmented, and, this is key, a lot of it is tacit. That's the unspoken stuff, right? It's the gut feeling, the intuition an expert has that they can't even explain. You can't just put that in a spreadsheet. And because of this, Hayek was convinced that any kind of central planning was totally doomed from the start. So, for Hayek, there was a clear winner here. Central planning is just too slow, too clumsy, because it's trying to gather up knowledge that can't be gathered. But decentralized markets, they work beautifully because they let millions of us act on our own little piece of knowledge, and the whole thing is coordinated through prices. For decades, this idea was basically gospel in economics, but now AI is showing up and threatening to flip the whole board. So how exactly does AI change the game? Well, one AI leader put it this way. Imagine a country of geniuses in a data center. That's the promise, right? A single, centralized intelligence that can process information on a scale that Hayek couldn't have even dreamed of. And AI launches this incredible two-pronged attack on Hayek's problem. First, it's figuring out how to take all that unspoken, gut-feeling, tacit knowledge and turn it into code. And second, it gives us a ridiculously powerful way to process all that information once we've got it. So how does an AI even do that? How does it grab that tacit knowledge? Well, these systems can literally watch an expert work. They learn from every click, every correction, every piece of feedback, and they basically reverse engineer that expert's intuition. It's turning a gut feeling into transferable data. And this is a really profound shift. Think about it. That expertise that used to be locked inside a person's head, it's now becoming a digital asset. It's something that can be owned, copied, and deployed by a central system, totally breaking those physical limits that Hayek talked about. Okay, so what happens when you can centralize all that knowledge? Well, you can centralize your operations. And this is what's leading to what a lot of people are calling the rise of super firms. The prediction is actually pretty straightforward. If you can solve Hayek's knowledge problem, it just becomes way more efficient to run massive, centralized companies. Suddenly, all those old advantages of being small and nimble and local, they start to fade. And this isn't just a theory. You can see it in the data. Across the U.S. economy, the market share controlled by just the top 4 firms, that's the C4 index, it's been climbing and climbing. Take retail, a business that used to be all about local knowledge. Concentration has shot up since the digital age really kicked off. So the future this points to is pretty clear. We're talking bigger companies, more concentrated industries, and less power for the local manager on the ground. Some people are even predicting we'll see one-person billion-dollar companies, where a single founder with a powerful AI can run a business that used to need thousands of people. But there's a huge paradox here, a real twist. As we're using AI to solve this massive economic problem, we might be creating a brand new and very human problem, the danger of deskilling. So what is deskilling? It's what happens when our tools get so good that we don't have to be. It's the slow erosion of our own expertise, our own judgment, because we're just letting the technology do all the heavy lifting for us. I mean, just look at how a professional's job is changing. A lawyer, for example, used to be an active creator. They'd build a legal case from the ground up. Now their role is shifting to being more of a passive supervisor, just checking the work an AI has already generated. And that's where something called automation complacency can creep in. This quote from a law professor just hits so hard. AI makes me want to retire early. It really gets at this deep anxiety that the whole idea of what it means to be a master of your craft is changing, or maybe even disappearing. So, how does this deskilling actually happen? Well, it's a few psychological traps we all fall into. There's automation bias, where we just blindly trust what the machine spits out. Then there's cognitive outsourcing. Our brains are kind of lazy. We're cognitive misers, so we'll always take the easy path and let the AI think for us. But the biggest one might be the loss of practice. Young professionals just don't get the chance to build real intuition by struggling with a problem themselves, by conquering the blank page. And all of this brings us to a really critical moment, a crossroads. Because centralizing knowledge and centralizing companies, that isn't just about efficiency. At the end of the day, it's about power. Now, are there any breaks on this whole trend? Maybe. It's possible some uniquely human skills, like fine motor skills or reading a room, will just be too hard to ever fully turn into code. You could also see a world where different AIs compete with each other, creating a new kind of decentralization. Or, we as a society might just decide to pass laws that say a human has to be in the loop for the big decisions. But that fundamental risk doesn't go away. History has shown us again and again that when economic power gets concentrated, political power follows right behind it. As a handful of massive AI-powered companies control more and more of our economy, their influence over our governments and our lives could become staggering. So that leaves us with this final, really big question to chew on. As we race to use AI to solve this old economic problem that Hayek identified decades ago, are we accidentally building a future where our own human judgment becomes obsolete? What happens to us when the machine always knows best?